Why Athens?
Why am I in Athens?
Yeah, you said like
Well, I'm Greek, so this is the short answer.
no. I want a deeper answer because you said like
Well, to answer that question, the other half is why not everywhere else, right?
exactly. Once you said if you can be anywhere, why be anywhere? So why Athens?
Fuck, I did say that.
Yes.
Good memory. Well, the main question would be why not the main place that I'm actually legitimately from, which is Australia.
Exactly.
That reason, to be honest, I left there when I had no money because it was too hard to live there. And too much bad stuff happened with my family and friends and bad groups of people. And intelligently enough, I left for a better environment to grow up in. And that was genius, even though I didn't know it at the time. So Australia, for me, going back is really not even an option. Maybe if one of my friends get married, I have to go, fine. But really, I don't really give a shit. And then the next question is, why not the other places? Barcelona, New York are the only real other options where I would consider living in. Barcelona, I've lived there every year for 6 years, for 2 to 4 months. What about New York? I think New York, I will spend more time next year. But like everything, I want it to be under my terms, right? Living in London or New York, I want to do it under my terms. If you live in New York and you're paying rent, you're taking an L. That's not a win. If you maybe own something or you have existing clients there, you're actually gaining something from being there, it makes a bit more financial sense. But if you're just paying 10 grand for 6 months of rent or less or more, you're just taking a massive L. There's literally no benefit to it. But for 1 to 2 months a year, for me, it can make sense because I can do a lot of damage in terms of networking in a good way. We're crossing here. Barcelona, during these periods, June, July, August, especially August, is a catastrophe. There's so many tourists, you can't go from A to B to C to anywhere. And the big thing I like about Barcelona usually is that I can do comedy 3-4 times a week, but in summer, comedy clubs are not very popular because everyone wants to be at the beach, not in a sweaty club. So there's no real benefit to being there in summer. Spring in Barcelona, amazing. That's really the question I ask. It's like, should I settle down in one place longer term? Or should I still do my 2-3 months in Cyprus, 4 to 6 months in Greece, 2 to 3 months in Barcelona, 2 months in New York and traveling? I don't know. But what I do know is the in the meantime option is always going to be Athens. Because in the meantime, my default setting is always going to be the most productive place. I can be wildly productive here.
More than in Cyprus?
Cyprus, there's no comedy. I might get a show once every month. So comedy, nothing. Here I can do a show once a week. I can do 2 or 3 if I really want. I can put on my own show, etc. I have 1 or 2 more friends here than I do in Cyprus, where I have no friends, because all of them are traveling, doing the same routine I am. And Cyprus, yeah, Larnaca's a small town. I miss it for the solitude and stuff, but you can't choose to not be social because of laziness. Okay, I'll do my 2-3 months there every year, but at the end of the day, I can't be lazy, especially summer's around. Athens, things are happening, and also dating is impossible in Cyprus, in my opinion. It's just too small, especially Larnaca. Just too small. But Athens, I like Greek girls. The most Greek girls are in Athens. So, the main reason is it's the best in the meantime option. Second is probably girls. Third is like, that's pretty much it actually. I can just do a lot of stuff here that I cannot do elsewhere. If I'm in New York and I have a contract with a client or we're doing something, fantastic. great place to do comedy, great place to socialize, great place to meet girls, especially even meet Greek girls, believe it or not. But if you don't have a strong reason to be there at a specific period in time, then you shouldn't probably.
And you always mention about power, because I believe that after financial freedom and location freedom, there is something else. I think that you uncover your deeper purpose, right? And for you, it's power, isn't it?
Well, I think power, like, we always have to be very specific for how we define stuff, right? Like in contracts, when we do contracts for selling a business or buying a business, the first few pages or the first page is definitions of the words, right? And it's such a silly thing because you're like, yeah, I know what guarantee means. You don't. You got to be clear, right? Because from country to country, it's different in these agreements and in the law. And that's the reality of how we use words now, right? Like feminism now means something different than it did 20 years ago and 100 years ago. And 500 years ago, I don't think it existed, right? And so what we mean by power, I think the most fascinating is the power you have within yourself to do things, to change things in yourself, to change your life, to change your lifestyle, to change your financial situation, whatever it is. The second most interesting is the power you have in the world, right? Now, those are the real, to keep it super basic, that's kind of the two types of power. Within you and outside of the world. Now, with the one within you is the most kind of interesting, I would say, because that's the one you have the most control of. You have control over the second one, the latter, but it takes time. And at the end of the day, it is based off others, people's opinions and perspectives of you, which can change like that. If you can master having power over yourself, then you can start mastering having power over or with of others. Yeah, it's like
when you start being disciplined with yourself and you respect yourself.
Well, you have to make it like, it goes back to some standard army disciplines and Jordan Peterson even rules, like you make your bed before you leave the house, because if you can't even make your fucking bed, who are you to go out and tell the world what you can and can't do, what you are, what they should do? You're nobody. What we did in cadets in Australia, if you wanted to be a leader, there were some rules, like you always make your tent and your sleeping bag and your pack and your uniform and your hygiene to perfection. Because who the fuck are you? Like, I remember seeing another CUO, commanding under officer, and he's a mess. He's got half a beard, his nails all disgusting and bitten up, chewed up like he put his hand in a blender. And you're like, that's the example you're setting for your cadets. And no wonder all his cadets never respected him at all, never did what they were told, nothing. You have to get your own house right before you go telling others how to live.
And on this note, what would you say to someone like, let's say my age, 20, 21, even 19, 18, that cannot really get started? Maybe he has this inside drive to become an entrepreneur, but cannot really start. Maybe he's procrastinating, maybe he's inefficient.
Well, look, my advice to anyone in their 20s or even in their teens starting to be an entrepreneur, wanting to be an entrepreneur, wanting to do their own thing. It doesn't even need to be entrepreneurship. Call it whatever the fuck you want. But I think it starts with, like, of course, dominating and having a full monopoly on power within yourself, right? It's like most people, let alone young people barely have any power over themselves. Mostly their parents have power over themselves. Schools have power over them.
Social
media.
Addictions.
Like, there's this one, I have like
Sugar.
7 or 8 YouTube videos that I watch almost every single time I want to do a really good workout. And it's like some orthodox chants. It's some like 2011 motivational videos. And for me, it's just routine to just go through it. And like some of these, one of the things that Eric Thomas, his motivational speaker, says is like, some people just don't want it bad enough. Some
That's
people
right.
don't want it as bad as they want to party. Some people don't want it as bad as they want to sleep. And it's
That's-
like, some people don't have enough control over themselves that they are willing to give up sleep to succeed.
That's exactly what I thought. I believe there is always like a fuck this shit moment.
Yeah.
A moment where,
You got to get mad.
yeah, exactly.
Like, this is another cool little video.
You're
Like,
angry at the world.
like, I think now we've been working together for what, 8, 9 months now? I think the best thing I can see that you've changed is now you're more angry. Because you fucking should be. Like, if you're a young man and you haven't got your shit together, you should be mad. Mainly at yourself, second at your circumstances, and you should do something about it, right? And you have, obviously. Right? Like, some people just don't give a shit. Some people just don't care that they're in a bad position. They don't care that the people don't respect them. They don't care that they don't respect themselves. And if you do not care, if you can't identify the problem, it doesn't take any effort or money or connections to say there is something wrong. Something is not right. It takes battling your ego to admit to that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't take anything away from you. Like, I've had an ego death maybe 2-3 times, Jordan, and I've realized that the current methods, the current way I'm driving, the way I'm driving down this road, I'm looking down the road and that's not where I want to go. So I'm like, well, I've got to change course. And changing course means admitting the way you are living your life is wrong. And a lot of people don't want to admit that, right? But there's no more sympathy. To be honest, I got no sympathy for men. I got sympathy and empathy for women and children. But for men now, I'm not going to sit here and feel sorry for you because you couldn't get your life together. And I've offered to mentor, at this point, hundreds of thousands of people. I've gone on live Greek TV multiple times and said, I will mentor anybody who wants to be mentored. I said my website, georgemoulos.com, happy to mentor any Greek for free, right? And people have come in, and every time I've said, this is what you should do, based on the little knowledge I have about you, but this is what I would do if I was you. And then 99.9% of people proceed to never do that. The few who do,
because they're too comfortable in the position they're in.
yeah. Well, look, one thing I know about myself, the only few things I'm good at is, one, I have a decent understanding of who I am and what I am good and bad at. Now, that's why a lot of entrepreneurs and motivational speakers talk about how important it is to know yourself.
Yeah.
What's the word?
To make an audit every now and then.
To know your strengths and weaknesses and what you can and can't do, right? Because, like, once you're that self-aware, that's the word I was looking for. Once you are self-aware, you can start like a military commander with an army. Let's use an example. When Napoleon, before he was the dictator and emperor of France, he was a little, what's it called? He was the commander of artillery, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they sent him, he did a good job in Toulon, of defending Toulon or taking Toulon, the siege of Toulon. I think he was under siege against the English. And then they sent him to North Italy, which was a fucking mess, to fight the Austrians. Now, the Austrians had more troops, more supplies, more food, more ammunitions, more everything. The French, their army literally had clothes rotting off their fucking bodies, right? Napoleon stood there and took an analysis, a full intake, a full order of what he has and what he does not have, right? Like any good military commander, he says, okay, well, you know what? If we have a lot of this, let's use that. If we don't have a lot of that, let's conserve that. It's just being smart. It's just budgeting in food or rations or men or whatever it might be, right? Now, of course, Napoleon won the Italian campaign, and that's what made him so popular back in France, the French Republic, and that's how he became the emperor. But you just have to take stock, right? And the beautiful thing is, when you take stock and you are self-aware of the resources you do and do not have, go in the middle of the road. You just stop wasting time on stuff that you don't care about, right? Like, I am obviously not good at sport. I'm not good at it. And also, I have no love in my heart for any sports, really. I'll watch the highlight reel of a water polo game in UFC, but I don't really give a shit. And you know what? How great that is to know, right? That means I can spend all of my time that I would have spent on that, I don't know, reading a book about history. Fantastic, right? And I'll enjoy it more, right? My point being, you're just being more efficient with what you do in your life, right? So like, going back to power, right? And having power within yourself to do things in the world, right? Once you start realizing how you do things behaviorally, you can start changing. So I know within myself, I have an addictive personality, right? So having the power within myself to, I don't know, stick to a diet, right? I know I need to make a lifestyle change. Like I have many times in my life. If I'm training for an Ironman, if I'm training for a marathon, an ocean swim, or a Spartan race, if I'm training to not be a fat piece of garbage, like I have been multiple times in my life, I need to make behavioral changes. But I know that I have an addictive personality, so I can't do just eat 1,800 calories, healthy, be healthy, good luck. It's okay. No, I can't do that. I'll go keto. I'll go basically an aggressive keto diet or very calorie restricted and train 2-3 days, 1 or 2 times a day for every day, right? Like I just know how I work, right? So now I have full control over myself. And now that I have full control over myself after multiple years of doing that and seeing the results of that, right? So I spent from the age of 13 to the age of, let's call it, that's a cool looking car, even though it's old garbage. It's kind of interesting. Toyota Celica. Fuck. I spent the years from age 13 to let's call it 23, 24, purely working on myself, to have control over myself, right? And my behaviors and my lifestyle and my business and my health, right? And I'm at a point where I have a monopoly on that power over myself. If I want to do something such as a Spartan race, 21K over a mountain range in Andorra, I can actually commit to a schedule, commit to a routine and a diet that will get me to the point where I can complete that successfully. And I have. And the only way to know you can do that is to do that. You can't think, you know what? Oh, George did an Ironman 70.3, I could do that. Literally, no, you cannot. Until you have, don't tell me you can. And that's why things are the way they are. And that's why power over yourself works like that. You simply have to do things to prove. Like so much of, I think personal development is you need to treat yourself like a state, like a government. You have your constitution, which would be your ethics and values. And then you have amendments, which is very normal, but you know what your North Star is, right? And you have laws and processes and the bureaucracy, the operations of your life, your lifestyle, your habits, how you do stuff, how you interact with people, how you see stuff. And then you also have the propaganda machine, right? Sometimes, what I always do, for example, like when I went to Barcelona this year, I think I landed at 3 or 4 o'clock in Barcelona after a 3-4 hour flight. First thing I did, I went to Soho House. I did 2 hours of work. I went for a 5K run. I think it was more like 10K. I went back to Soho, showered, and then I went and did a comedy set of 15 minutes, which I actually did quite well. Went home, moved into my apartment. I told my housemate, I'm like, yeah, I did this. He's like, dude, don't you think you should take it easy? You just got here. Aren't you exhausted from flying? I go, this is always what I do. Because this concept of false starts, right? Now I land and immediately I've started this 3-month stint in Barcelona being a savage. For me, I consider that propaganda. It's marketing I've done to myself to say, oh, you don't want to go for a run today? Maybe 30 days later, I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like going for a run. Then I'd be like, didn't you land, run 10K, do a comedy set, and then move in within like 5 hours, you savage? Yeah, I did. Well then, what happened? You falling off? What's going on? And that's why I hate false starts. And one of my teachers back in high school, I forget his name, but he was strict. He was part of the cadet corps, but he was good. He was strict but fair. And he was like, when you get into class, open up your book immediately and start reading. 10 minutes of reading immediately. No false starts at all. And it's so true. I see that with myself. When I sit down and start work, I get right into it. Because if you come out, oh, I want to check emails, YouTube, this bullshit, that bullshit, social media, you're an hour and a half into starting work and you've done nothing.
True.
And now the rest of the day, you feel like, well, you know what? I just don't feel like doing stuff.
Yeah.
So because you started the day with a false start.
And the thing is that when you start this way, with a lot of informations like emails and messages, DMs, and stuff like that, like little tasks, then you cannot really focus on longer tasks anymore. So yeah, I absolutely noticed it as well.
And the other thing too is like it's so funny to use that example of this teacher in English. He was my English teacher in like year 11 or 12. And when me, Will Papapetros, and Terry Lardis, we are gorillas. We are the three Greeks in the class. Everyone else was white dudes, right? We three gorillas respected him. I forget his name. But he said, open the books. We opened the books. We read. We didn't break his balls, nothing, right? But then when the other teacher, Mr. Arscott, he was some English teacher substitute for that teacher, which really sucked because the first teacher was good. People like me, Lardis, and Papa, we need someone very strict that we respect. If we don't respect him, we're going to bully everyone and make fun of everyone and break everyone's balls, right? And just be loud. And this English bloke who came in, he was immediately soft, right? So we would get into class. I would show up 10 minutes late. Greek time, right? With a coffee. No one was drinking coffee in year 11. He's like, where did you get the coffee? I go, I'm here now. Come on, let's start. 20 minutes in, Papa comes in with a coffee. And he goes, you need to get a late ticket. He goes, Papa goes to the guy, he's like, look, listen, let me tell you something. It's going to take me 20 minutes to go to get the late slip, 20 minutes back, and this class is going to be over. How about we work something out, okay? How about I sit down, we start reading a book, you know? He's like, all right, sit down. And he would immediately sit next to me when we're never allowed to sit together. And we're there talking. We move the chairs to talk to each other like we're at a cafe. Not even at the front, right? And then Lardis comes 45 minutes late to an hour lesson, right? Doesn't give a fuck. How you doing, buddy? And he comes in with a coffee, a water bottle in a tray. Coffee, water, sparkling water, San Pellegrino, and chocolate croissant. And all his bags. He walks in just chilling. The teacher's Mr. Arse was like, are you serious? You're telling me you saw that you were going to be late, you stopped for a chocolate croissant and a coffee and a San Pellegrino, didn't even drop off your bags, and why did you even come to class? He goes, please, I'm here now, let's finish this thing. Let me get 10 minutes in of the class. And we're just there gossiping the whole time. No respect. Because false start after false start after false start creates momentum of false starts, of procrastination. I remember for one whole year, I'm not even joking, you think I'm like mad productive and disciplined and stuff. For a whole year, I had to do this one thing. From about March 20, would have been, March 20, somewhere around there. I had to just make some updates to some of the notes of the paperwork to one of my businesses. And I put it on my to-do list that I have every single day from March 15th. And every single day, I put it on my list and I convinced myself I would do it today. And I shit you not, for about 9 months, I moved it from one day to the next for 9 months. I got so good at procrastinating, and the habit was of procrastination, right? And then one day I had a flight delayed in Brisbane Airport, and I just did it, and it took like not even a full hour, maybe 55 minutes. I timed it. I'm like, you procrastinated with amazing discipline. What an amazing discipline that every single day I moved it across. Every single day. But the habit was to procrastinate now, right?
And you mentioned this false start, right? But we
Yeah.
talked about the false start like in the short term, like in the single session, in the
Yeah.
single day. But how would you apply it in starting a business overall? Like,
Well, I mean, it's so easy because like so many people false start starting a business, and that becomes the habit. Especially young guys, they're like, "Let me start a business." They,
let me design the logo.
huh?
Let me
Let me
design
get the
the logo.
Canva logo. Let me make the website for 150 bucks. Buy Shopify. Buy some bullshit course. And then I'm 500 bucks in. They're like, you know what? It's day 29. I haven't made $14 million. Fuck it. Now that's the habit. No commitment, right?
And the other thing that I wanted to talk about is the time horizon. I had this misconception, and I was like, okay, it's gonna take me 4 months to get from 0 to 10k a month. Because why? A lot of people did it, you know. A lot of people went from 0 to 10k
Yeah.
in 2 months. But the thing that I didn't know is that maybe it takes 2 months from going from, I don't know, 0 to 1 and 1 to 10. But before those 2 months, maybe there were like 2-3 years of hard work to become the person that can actually achieve that goal.
That's a very good point.
And that's the thing, you know, it's all about, I mean, doing the things, it's not the hardest part.
Yeah.
Learning the things that you have to do is not the hardest part. The hardest part is to show up every day, to become the person that can do that thing.
Correct.
Until you do it.
Some girl asked me, why did I do this, sign up for this Ironman? Why am I doing it? And I'm like, that's a good fucking question. Because I thought about it, I was like, and now I'm like, I know why. Because I don't necessarily care about crossing the finish line. I want to become the type of person who does that. The type of person who does a triathlon, an Ironman 70.3, or even crazier, walks from the most northerly point of Greece to the most southerly point of mainland Greece. The type of person who does that is a fucking crazy savage. Insane discipline in fitness, insane discipline in diet. Someone who can manage a campaign of where you're gonna live, where's the fuel, where's the car, who's gonna do this, how are you gonna work, where's the internet. Someone who can do this stuff and accomplish this stuff, that's who I wanna be. Maybe that's not who I am now. It isn't, maybe. But it'll be put to the test. That's who I want to become. And you can't be something without doing something that makes you that. Like logically, right? You can't become a comedian and never have performed on stage. You can't be an entrepreneur and never have built a business that makes money. Don't call yourself that before you've done it, obviously. Just do it. Don't ask to be called that, don't say you are, just do it, right? And like it's hard to find the thing that works, but you need to go through that phase. I always talk about it of searching. You'll have a bit of shiny object syndrome at the start with every new business. But then you just eventually find something like, you know what? I think if I put a year into this, it's gonna work. And even if it doesn't, it's gonna give me these skills, the micro skills, the discipline
To do something else.
that's gonna prepare me for the next thing, right?
Sure.
Like for the next 4 years, I'm turning 26 next week, in like 3-4 days. I'm thinking for the next 4 years, what can I do consistently that regardless of where or what my goals are then, I'm gonna be in a good place. Do more triathlons, Ironman, swimming, running, bigger challenges like walking across Greece like a psycho. More stuff like that, more videos, more content. Yeah. So
yeah.
some things you just have to commit to.
Yeah. And you mentioned 1 year because I believe that 1 year is like the bare minimum to get to 10k a month if you're starting life. Even not from scratch. Even you should already have a good position, right? Maybe you should already have quit some addictions. You shouldn't be like a needy pussy boy. Otherwise, it's gonna take probably 3 years. If you think like overall, from the moment you decide that you're gonna take action and you're gonna commit to your goal, and the moment that you actually achieve your goal, which might be if you're a young guy, 10k a month, might elapse 3 years, and you have to be okay with that.
The funny thing is, when I was 10 years into doing e-commerce brokers, I didn't even care about the money anymore. That was the funny thing. The money is just an indicator of success because it's like it's a video game, it's points. So it proves that all I really wanted to do was prove that my idea of being an entrepreneur made sense. And then eventually it did. And that felt good. But because I don't care for expensive things, and my lifestyle is relatively inexpensive, mainly because I am a stoic and I love living in Greece and Cyprus and traveling, not to do some expensive bullshit I don't give a fuck about that other people told me that they enjoy. So now I have to enjoy it for some reason, even though I don't. I want to see historical sites. I want to see rocks on the ground, right? I want to do things in cool places. And most of that is inexpensive. And the funny thing is, I did it when I had no money. So like,
Yeah, nothing changed. Nothing changed.
my habits improved, my business acumen improved, but I enjoy the process. And this is what I tell you. You have to enjoy the process more. You can't be grinding yourself into the ground because you're going to burn out like I did in 2021 and then be like, I don't understand why. You have to go be social. You
Yeah.
have to go out, have a drink. You have to relax, turn your mind off for a couple hours. Because you're going to burn out, man.
The thing is that, as you say, nothing's gonna change. It's gonna be the exact same shit. You're gonna have
Nothing is going to change if
You're gonna-
nothing changes.
You're gonna have different problems,
Yeah.
but you're still gonna have problems, and you're still gonna have to work to solve those problems.
Yeah.
Maybe 10, 12, 14 hours a day. So you'd better quit your addictions so that you can live the life of your dream without the need of wanting something more.
I think the biggest thing, because for me, quitting the addiction, my biggest addictions have been food and nicotine, to be honest. The biggest things that on the day, the next day, you're like, this is my day one, I'm going to start. The biggest thing that changed in me was that I just got angry, man. Angry at myself. I'm like, bro, are you serious? I'm like, the day of, I'm like, you know what? Like, you know, I told you the story of the pizza, right? The raccooning on the pizza.
Yeah.
I
Hug this event moment.
I did a perfect week of dieting, 1,700 calories a day, working out like crazy. Here in Athens a couple years ago, I just did everything correct. And then just before I went to bed, I was like, you know what? Let's order a mega XXL pizza with heaps of meat lovers, all this stuff, meat and sausages and bacon and pepperoni, and I bought it. I'm like, as soon as I bought it, I was like, what did I do? I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna cancel. I'm like, I can't cancel it, fuck it. It comes, and by the time it comes, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go downstairs, get the pizza, and I throw it away, straight away. So I went downstairs to get the pizza. I'm like, what am I gonna do, throw it away? Oh, I'm gonna buy a pizza, throw it away, I'll have one slice. I came into the foyer of the building, had one slice, I'm like, ooh. Let me bring it upstairs. I ate 2 more slices in the elevator. And then I'm like, you know what? I fold the whole box in half and I put it in the bin under the sink. I go to bed. I'm like, you know what? I could go slice a pizza right now. I open the bin, open the box that's all fucked up. I'm like, ooh. Eating straight out of the bin like a raccoon. Then I'm like, you're disgusting. Look at yourself. You're eating out of the, look at yourself. Your lack of discipline is so poor that you cannot stop yourself from eating out of the bin? Man, you're disgusting, bro. Take it downstairs to the bin on the road and be done with it. I take it downstairs. I put it in a plastic bag. I take it downstairs. I have the bin open. I'm like, I open the bag, one more slice. I ate the whole pizza. And then I'm like, I'm done. And then the next day I wake up sick. I'm lactose intolerant. I'm eating a fucking pizza, right? And that pizza easily is 4,000 or 5,000 calories, right? And the whole deficit of the week was like 5,000 to 6,000 calories to lose about a kilo, right? So I'm looking at it, I'm like, 30 minutes of weakness, fucked up a whole week, not to mention another whole week. And I wake up on that Monday just thinking, just angry, man. You have those days when you break your discipline. You let yourself down so hard. You're like, you're sitting there, you're just like, I will do whatever it takes, man. Anything. Just help, please. Help me stop being a piece of garbage. And you have to get mad. You're like, George, you're a piece of shit. I hate you. You can't not eat pizza out of the bin? Is that what we're dealing with right now?
It's not the pizza, because people say like, oh, it's okay if I have one pizza per week.
Yeah.
No, it's not the pizza, stupid idiot. It's the concept of eating pizza while you're on a diet.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
It's that's why it's like propaganda. It's like if you're the government of a country and you are the country too, and you eat a slice of pizza, the message is out. You eat pizza. This is who you are and what you're made of. What the fuck? Then everyone's like, well, I guess we're eating pizza now. Give me a cigarette too. Give me a liter of Fanta. Let's get to work. Let's just eat a pizza out of the bin. Once you let the weakness into the door, even if you have the door a little bit open, you might as well open the floodgates, mate. We're going left here. Yeah, man. That's like, I think about it now, like I've said to myself, turning 25, from 25 to 26, this birthday I want a lifestyle change. Like I remember when I was 24, I said to myself, dude, if by 25 you can't buy, I said, I don't know, this was the thing. It's always been the thing, to be honest. I'm like, if you cannot afford to buy an apartment in New York by the age of 25, give up. Because what's the point? I could have been an investment banker in bloody Australia and just had a normal life and not made all the sacrifices that I made. But instead, I wanted to be so cool and be an entrepreneur, and I can't even afford a house by 25. And then somehow, one way or another, I got to the point where I could afford. When I turned 25, I made the money. I made it. And then it's been a year since then now. And things have changed, but my habits haven't changed. I'm still working the way I used to work, which is not optimal. Things need to change as the circumstances change. As I said in the gym today, I'm playing the field. To get to the gym, I wanted to do abs, buys, and shoulders or whatever. But then we see half the machines are occupied. All right, we're doing this now, we're doing chest. Just play the field. And the field of life, in the last year, said, you know what? Just having your head down and grinding and being angry at the world and just punching with your eyes closed isn't going to work anymore, right? At some point in your entrepreneur career at the start, yeah, you pretty much have to bang your head against a wall and just keep grinding it down and punching until something works, until something sticks. But then eventually you need to be a bit more agile, have your eyes open, and be better at finding when to strike and when to duck and when to dodge. That's where we're at now.
And to wrap it up and close it, tell us the 10 things that you wish you knew earlier in your entrepreneur journey that would have make it easier and faster for you to achieve what you have now.
Whenever you're lost, or you're upset, or you're angry, or you're feeling helpless, or you're suicidal, or you're depressed, whenever you get to that point, you almost feel like you want to have a book of what you should do. You're begging someone to tell you what to do. Well, there is a book. There's actually many books. There's actually a whole philosophy on exactly what you should do, and it's called Stoicism. Like, it's not a religion, even though some people treat it like a religion. If you're ever lost, if you're ever sad, depressed, dive headfirst into Stoicism. Start with meditations. Start with Ryan Holiday's books. Ego is the enemy. This way. The journey is the way. These books will be your savior.
But
that is number one.
Before you even do that, you need to lay the foundations, and this means quit porn,
Well, that's what you'll learn in these books. That is a natural evolution of reading about Stoicism. It won't just tell you to change bad habits like that. It'll tell you across the board the philosophy behind why, behind what you should start doing, what you should stop doing. That's why I'm saying go into Stoicism blind. If you don't know what to do, go blindly into Stoicism. Start watching the YouTube videos. If you're lost, if you're depressed, that's my biggest regret. Whenever I feel lost, I've either wanted to personally just cry about it and feel bad, or
"26 years old."
feel sorry for myself. Oh, I'm so sad, I'm so depressed, blah, blah, blah. No. Go into Stoicism. Because the first thing Stoicism will say is, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Nothing's going to change if you don't change. And this is what you should start doing, this is what you should stop doing.
You know what I'm thinking, right?
You want to foil?
Absolutely fucking.
I don't think it's deep enough.
It is, as long as it's like 60 centimeters, I can do it.
You can't. Okay, so what was the question again? What do I regret?
No, like the 10 things that you would advise to do.
Okay.
And I think that you said one that can do it all.
Yeah, exactly. Look, if you don't know what to do, Stoicism. It's the philosophy for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're Christian, Muslim, atheist. It is the philosophy for every man and woman. Number 2, get in the gym. Obviously. Start running. Start moving. I mean, this is obviously just Stoic philosophy, but at the end of the day, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And if you have enough discipline to go for a walk around the block, go for a run, do it consistently, your work will follow. Same with your diet, same with your relationships and your finances. Start working out.
Yeah.
That one is obvious. I just think this is in order of almost the easiest wins. Watch a couple of YouTube videos about Stoicism every day. Don't enjoy it, just do it. You don't need to be entertained, just watch it. When you're doing something, when you're cooking, just watch it, put it in the background. And it'll stop getting into your thick head. Like you got into my massive fucking watermelon head. Number 3.
Sugar.
I think number 3, look, I would say number 3 is more like I would go back to what we were saying, like you need to get mad about your current situation. I think people are too comfortable and they have ego attached to the current situation because they see it as their lifestyle as status, or their mentality and the current way of living as, oh, this is the status of my life, this is the way I do things. Do away with that. If you're not happy with the way things are and where you're going, get mad, get angry. Not at others, at yourself. Use that anger, I don't know, to start a business. Use that anger to run. To start proving to yourself you can do things. Like that's why I started running. Look at my body, bro. I'm built like an ox. I'm like 4 foot nothing. And my legs are like 3 centimeters long. I'm not supposed to run. But when I run, I prove to myself I can do stuff if I put my mind to it. And 95% of my running career has been anger. Just, I'm angry and I need to get it out. Now it's a bit happier, it's more inspiration. But get angry, dude. Seriously, no one's bloody angry enough. Yeah. No one has passion, no one even cares about their own situation. And for that, I have no sympathy. Number 4, I think I remember when I would always put like inspirational desktop quotes and pictures and stuff in high school. My friends would literally say, "You are a gay man." I'm like, how am I gay? Sorry, I'm trying, bro. I'm trying to be inspired. And I'm like, and I felt bad because they're making fun of me. They're like, dude, that's so like, what are you trying to do? You think come on, what are you gonna do? Please.
Ah, that's true.
And I'm like, you know what, man?
Fuck off.
If my dad bought me a Merc, a Mercedes, and paid for everything, and ensured my financial success forever, maybe I think like that. But you know what? That's not my situation. And never make fun of someone for being inspired. Like, what the fuck? Like, and I kind of see that with how some women and even some men see dudes who are into Jordan Peterson and David Goggins. They're like, what are you inspired? Yeah, I'm inspired. I want to change my life, bro. Fuck, sue me. I'm trying to change my life, and I'm looking to men and women who have done things. Oh, sue me that I take some things seriously. Fuck. Like, I think what people are scared of is intensity. Intensity in speaking to someone, looking someone in the eyes and speaking to them. They don't want that awkwardness. They don't want the confrontation. They don't want to be put on the spot. And that leads to a life of literally leaving and never looking someone in the eye, never doing anything. Number 5. Read history. Read your history. It doesn't have to be Greek, Roman, although that is the best in terms of what you can learn to apply to your own today's life in this world, in my opinion. Read history. If you don't know where to start with the Roman emperors, one by one, starting with Sulla, even though he's not an emperor, from Sulla to Caesar, from Augustus all the way to Constantinos Palaiologos. See how things move through time.
Because at the end of the day, all the self-improvement books, Jordan Peterson, David Goggins, like, they're just they just rephrase essentially the same principles that were stated in those books, because the things that worked at that time are still the things that work right now.
Yeah, and also, if you're in the West, we stand on the shoulders of giants. Like, the way we think today and we work today is ridiculously similar to the way ancient Greece, Golden Age Greece, and Rome works. Like, the codexes, the law books, the capitalism, the trade, the military systems and operations and philosophy that we live in today is based on, is, if not some parts, unchanged from Rome, from East Roman Empire, from the Golden Age Greece. The way we think is very similar. And once you understand the context, you understand why we do it today and how to get better at it.
Moving on, because we don't have
wrap this up.
much storage left.
Moving on to what? Do I have to wrap it up?
I mean, just move on with the other things.
All right,
I would mention journaling. I would mention visualization.
Okay, well, I'll hit you with some habits, obviously. 7, I would say, write a journal every day, like I do. Talk about everything in it. Business ideas, how your day was, what you want to achieve today, what you want to achieve tomorrow, in the next week, month, year, decade. Write it all down. 8, get some sun.
Yep.
Get some sun on your face. Drink some bloody water. Like, wake up and drink like a shit ton of water. Put a little lemon in it. Maybe a little Himalayan salt. Get some sun. Write in your journal. And if you still hate yourself, then go to a therapist. But if you wake up and you had a good 8 hours sleep, and you journal, and you eat a big tall glass of water, maybe 4, with some lemon, some Himalayan salt in it, and then you had a coffee, you're ready to rumble, bro. You should wake up like this. You know what? I wanted to kill someone when I wake up. I wanted to kill myself when I wake up, but now I'll kill someone else. I'm ready to go. And if you don't feel like that, then all right, see a therapist. Wake up, like we said, no false starts. Wake up ready to go, ready to roll every day. 9.
Which is probably not 9, but yeah, whatever.
In my head, I'm up to 9.
Yeah.
9, know when to relax, know when to turn off and be fully present. I think my biggest weakness in all of my life is being too engaged in the art of war, the war of business and the war of health and the war of being better, that I sometimes don't enjoy the present. In the presence of friends, in the presence of experiences, in the presence of romantic partners. I'm somewhere else. I'm either reflecting on the past or thinking about the future and what I want to do. That's my biggest weakness.
But
I think you got to be present.
You have to be super present when you're with friends in those 2-3 hours a day,
Yeah.
maybe, so that you can perform better the day after.
Correct, because if
Yeah,
you're never off, then you're never really on,
Yeah.
right? You're just on like this limbo purgatory mode of like mindlessly going through life and doing what you got to do.
Yeah.
Number 10. I would say, no matter if you're a soldier of the art of entrepreneurship, you got to do something creative. You have to do something crazy. You have to do that, like that last big factor of craziness. Whether it's me doing stand-up comedy, it doesn't make sense. And people are like, "What are you doing?" It doesn't make sense. I'm like, "Yep, I'm here to throw a span in the works. I'm here to do something challenging and crazy." Don't be afraid to do that, especially if it's an expression of who you are, what you want to do. And that's it.